Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order for the Brawley City Council and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency. Adjourned regular meeting for Thursday, October 22nd at 2 p.m. If we can have the roll call, please.
The minutes will reflect all council members present.
Thank you. Next, the invocation by Reverend Jim Pazan from the First Presbyterian Church. Pass it over here.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we welcome your presence to this meeting this afternoon, giving you thanks for the many ways in which you have provided for us as a community. We welcome the challenges facing our city, knowing that you care deeply for us. Knowing this, we humbly pray that you would guide and direct all the business that comes to the council this afternoon. Through your Spirit, bring them wisdom in their decisions. Give all who come before them a clear and confident voice. Be with all who are gathered here as they seek your blessing for the city. And it is in the name of Jesus that we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Pazan from the First Presbyterian Church, excuse me. And I'll lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can please face our flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. If you can please have a seat. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
There's a motion. There's a motion to approve. There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 2, public appearances, comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the City Council. Is there someone here who would like to make a public comment?
Thank you.
I believe there's an introduction from Jason Zara that is going to come before us.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council, and staff. Thank you very much for having us. Today it is my privilege and honor to introduce to you our 2015 Brawley Cattle Call Queen, Miss Chelsea Roper.
Hi everybody, my name is Chelsea Roper. I am the 2015 Brawley Cattle Call Queen. I am very honored to represent our wonderful community and the sport of rodeo this coming year. And on behalf of myself and the Chamber of Commerce, I would like to invite you all to the Chamber Mixer that starts tonight at 5:30 at Hart Insurance.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank
The rest of the court couldn't be here this afternoon, but hopefully we'll have the opportunity to meet them at tonight's event. Our King Queen is Keely Poloni, our Junior Queen is Riley Locker, and our Little Miss is Cheyenne Cox. And so thank you very much. I just wanted to say again thank you to the girls. They all worked incredibly hard this year. It was a great contest, and it'll be a privilege to work with their queens and royalty this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. All right, so this is the opportunity for the public to make a comment on any item that's not appearing on the agenda here this afternoon. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment? You have 4 minutes to make a comment.
Thank you, sir. My name is My name is Gerardo Marcelino Aguilar, Senior. Lifelong resident of Brawley, California. What an honor it is to be here in front of the council. I thank you for your time. I'll be brief. The comments I'm about to make are astounding. Our galactical finds. I found something that people have been searching for their whole lives. Recently, I just acquired a property on 411 West D Street in Brawley, California, 92227. I got a blueprint that I brought along with me to share. Sharing is caring. Of Noah's Ark. And I'm going to prove it to you. These findings are not just folktale. These findings can actually be explained, and I am here to also support the site plan on Mainland Street Apartments. To me, this is a hole, a bottomless pit. I drew a blueprint. My background consists of ag science. I was the best informed green ant in the 9th grade. I'm a California state farmer for FFA. So this is not just by luck. This is through training. This is through discipline, and this is something that I have a passion for. This is something that is just in me growing up on 345 West Adler Street in Brawley, California, next to Pat Williams Park, exploring as a little kid, being able to have fun and go outside as a kid, not stuck on some iPod or iPad, being able to really find out what true love feels like, to really have a childhood, let them be a kid. And I really feel that what we got going on here, and I can prove it to you, is archaeological find. This rock right here is Noah's Ark. That's a wood one. I know it. Also, this plate here. This plate is a remarkable find. Area 51 made you look. I believe finding some materials in our local deserts, the pipes, the canals, everything that goes on here, from the borders to the big flagpole and calipat. We're on to something. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comment. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment on any item that is not appearing on the agenda at this time? There is a comment, excuse me, if you would, please. Bless you.
Bless you. My name is Ashley Mendibles, and we are on the agenda under this section. Is this a good time?
No, this is not the time. We're still taking public comment that actually is on the agenda.
Okay.
And so there's, I believe there is someone who would like to make a public comment at this time. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's,
You are on the agenda.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosemary Wood, North County Coalition for the Arts, serving as the Imperial County Arts Council. I just wanted to make a historic announcement. I am pleased to announce that North County has been appointed as the state and local partner with the California Arts Council. With that said, we were also awarded a $21,000 grant. It's just the beginning. And as you all know, it's been 10 years since the California Arts Council has funded anything in the Valley. So I'm very proud and very excited to announce that, and I wanted to share that with the council. I really appreciate the council's support for the last couple of years of me coming here and, sharing my passion, which is the arts. And just thought I'd just let you know that this has been a historic visit. The California Arts Council came on October 3rd. The CEO, Don Harris, was here, did a lovely presentation with Jason John, one of his team members, for the community of the arts at IVC. It was a day-long presentation. We had wonderful presentations. We had presentations from Hidalgo Society's folklorical dancers. We had presentations from dancers from Ooh La La. We had Deb Smurden show some of her artwork. We had the Brawley First Friday kiddos. I shouldn't say that, but sorry guys. Love them. Came and did a wonderful video and presentation of what's been going on here in the Valley. Not just Brawley, but they also added, things that were happening throughout the Valley. So I just wanted to share that with the council. So thank you very much for your support.
Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you.
yeah.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment at this time?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, the council. I'd just like to give a brief update on some the legislative bills that have passed. One of the bills is AB 1059, which will increase, well, it actually gives the state, California Environmental Office of Environmental Health Hazards Assessment, the direction to include data of pollution that's coming from Mexico, whether it's water, air, and actually even set up monitoring along the border. Imperial Valley, Imperial County, in particular Brawley, are among the most disadvantaged communities in California. You know, that means that, you know, we have cumulative impacts from poverty, no jobs, and cumulative impacts from environmental factors, health factors. This entire valley is considered, in particular Brawley, a disadvantaged community. You know, everybody is a paycheck from being homeless, right? And so what this bill will do is actually, with this new data, will put us hopefully at a higher priority and give us access to funding from like cap and trade, for example. There are billions of dollars, and SB 535 also designates 20% of that money to come to disadvantaged communities like Imperial Valley, and we know that we need that money here. The other bill, real quick, is SEP's bill. Whenever there are violations, a lot of the money ends up somewhere else. In this bill, 1071, supplemental environmental projects means that whenever there's violations, that money will get reinvested. A couple of key things is that 50% of that money, it's went from 20% to 50% of the money being reinvested in our community, and also expands on the definitions. In other words, like governments, nonprofits, and tribes, for example, will be of high priority for qualifying for those dollars. Thank you.
They need to make that retroactive for us, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
We wish.
Thank you for that comment. Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment at this time? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the public appearances comments. It's item 2A. It's concerned homeowners of Mayland and Victoria Park developments. Our city manager could lead that discussion.
Mayor Nava, we do have a scheduled public appearance, which is Ashley Mandibles on behalf of concerned homeowners of Mayland and Victoria Park developments.
Thank you, Ms. Mandibles. We generally give about 15 minutes for a presentation. So.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Nava and council members and city officials. As a group, there's many of us here today. We're here to voice concerns over this approved development. We're aware that the city has stated a zoning notification was sent out within a 300-foot radius in 2005 when the rezoning of the parcel was approved. However, there were not any homes in Mayland or Victoria Park areas. We are also very aware that R3 zoning could cover an array of uses such as schools, public recreation facilities, a public pool, parks, playgrounds, a community garden, townhomes, apartments, and more. With a town population of 26,000 or less people, it seems as though the city council would respect the voters and go beyond what the law requires. It would seem to a reasonable person that the city council might request that the city approve a notification to residents surrounding such a development to include parents of school-aged children attending Myron D. Witter School. The voters of a small town, such as Brawley, deserve to know the decisions being made by city employees that serve the council and residents, especially on a project such as this, which is detrimental to the enjoyment and devaluation of the property directly adjacent to the site. According to the County Assessor's Office, the date Alexis Gevorgian, or AMG and Associates, the developer, took ownership of the parcel was December 8th, 2014. A site plan for this project was submitted to the city on December 16th, just 7 business days after the sale. The city approved the project just 24 days later on January 8th. It is astonishing that a city could approve a project of this size in less than a month. Was diligence served regarding the review of the site plan to ensure the project provided for all the requirements? Anyone can answer or respond at any time, but
well, it's a time for public comment. So
okay, I'll keep going. The Imperial Valley Housing Authority was deeded the property from Alexis Gevorgian on February 25th, after the city granted the developer AMG a deferral of impact fees on February 17th. in the city council meeting. Was the council aware at that time of a partnership agreement between the developer and the housing authority? Per the housing authority, as of today, there is no partnership agreement. This would be finalized once the actual tax credits have been sold to investors. Did the housing authority ever ask or request the city to notify nearby residents? We've also been directed to a traffic study that was done in 2005 for the area with a complete build-out date of 2025. We're now in 2015, directly in the middle of the time frame, and many developers have walked away. We have various streets that were taken into account in the traffic study that are still not completed. The projected 2008 numbers without the project being built showed the capacity for traffic on Mayland between 86 and First Street to be 7,500. The same for Mayland between First and Dogwood, the same for Panel Road between First and Dogwood. It should be noted that Panel Road between First and Dogwood was not completed then, and it's not completed now. So it's safe to assume those average daily trips would be on Mayland Street between First and Dogwood. The average daily trip on Mayland between First and Dogwood would increase to 7,430 just at capacity. But remember, that's without the project being completed. Now, the 2008 projected numbers with the project being completed would then increase the average daily trip on Mayland between First and Dogwood to 8,174 average daily trips, which is 674 trips over the 7,500 capacity. It's our assumption that knowing this information, the city would require an update to the traffic study, being that Panel Road is still not completed through Dogwood. The traffic study was based on the Mayland Park subdivision consisting of 223 single-family homes and 100 attached senior homes. The multifamily land use project traffic was removed from circulation system and replaced with the proposed single-family homes and attached senior housing traffic. That's a direct quote from the Mayland Park subdivision traffic impact study on page 33. So if multifamily use was taken out of the calculation, wouldn't the city require an update to the traffic study now that the parcel is going to be used for multifamily? Information we've been given from the city manager is that the completion of First and Second Streets, which are inside Mayland Park, rests with the developer. It's been several years since the developer walked away. There's no guarantee of when they'll come back. Would we be able to obtain a copy of the subdivision agreements made with the city? Okay. Because this is now a safety issue and it will only become worse with the apartment complex. If there were a fire in the apartment buildings, traffic would be diverted to 2nd Street, which would already be backed up from homeowners in Victoria. If the fire were to spread to a home on 2nd Street, it's possible there could be no outlet besides people driving across the dirt lots to Dogwood. There are also cement barricades at the ends of Shelby and First, south of Julia. So going to the undeveloped parcel south of Julia could not be an option either. Has the city consulted with the fire marshal or county office of emergency services on an evacuation plan for the residents of the 152 homes in Mayland and Victoria? And if they have, could that be mailed to all residents? Again, the city of Brawley should learn that before approving building permits and everything, they should require the developer to build roads first. In addition to county property taxes, homeowners in Victoria and Mayland Park combined will pay just under $83,000 in CFDs in the 2015-2016 tax year. We know that it covers police and fire protection in our area. And besides tree trimming on the park west of First Street, what else do the funds go towards? There's nothing else being done. There's parcels that have foliage on them that needs to be removed. We don't gain anything from paying those other than the city coming a few times a year to trim trees. If the developers of Latigo, Mayland, or Victoria paid bonds, have those been exercised, and if not, when will they? Homeowners in the area were told that the property was going to be developed as a park. We now have noticed that the half-acre lot west of First Street is designated as a park. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, a park is a piece of public land in or near a city that is kept free of houses and other buildings and can be used for pleasure or exercise. Also, a large area of public land kept in its natural state to protect plants and animals, or a field or stadium where a sport is played. Not one of those descriptions fit the park that is west of First Street. The current park has desert landscaping with agave, palm trees, mesquite trees, and birds of paradise. I don't know one parent that would allow their toddler to play near an agave plant. If any of you have driven by the area, you would notice that there isn't one bench, there's not a drinking fountain. So who is going to go for leisure time at this park? The last actual park to be built in the city of Brawley was Jeffrey Thornton Park on Legion Road. This was over 10 years ago. In that time frame, the city of Brawley has approved the developments of Carissa Ranch, La Valencia, Latigo Ranch, La Paloma, Victoria Park, Malin Park, Valencia Estates. I'm sure I'm missing one or two. With all those developments, there have been 0 new parks put in, there's been 0 park improvements, and there have been 0 new public facilities built for our youth. This project, again, would be a detriment to our enjoyment in the neighborhood and would have a direct impact on our home value. Myron D. Witter School's current population is 846 students. If a child moved into the Witter area at this time, they would be bused to another school. According to the school superintendent, Mr. Garcia, Oakley is the only elementary school with available space. We are aware that the school district has purchased property on Malin and Bryant for a proposed middle school. However, we are also aware that the school district does not have the fundings necessary to build the school. So the question now before the city council is, what is this development doing to improve the city of Brawley? Also, in a previous, I know this is the city council meeting, but just a note, in the April Planning Commission meeting, Mr. Goyle was proposing a site plan for rezoning and a parcel map and et cetera for a mobile home, RV park, storage, convenience store north of River Drive, and the same reasoning was given for his denial. Today I have 256 signatures petitioning the build of this project, and there will be more coming.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Ashley.
And we will take further public comment. Is there other public comment that anyone has? Any additional items that you'd like to address? I know there were several questions that were raised, and during this time we're accepting the items that were presented to us, and we'll take those items into consideration. If you wanted to provide some clarification, our city manager, with respect to the process that we're in currently with this project?
Yes. So the action item before the Planning Commission was continued to the next scheduled Planning Commission meeting, which will occur on November 4th. At that point, the Planning Commission will take action to either approve the parcel map, deny the parcel map, or if they're unable to achieve a total of 4 votes, no action will be taken. At that point, either individuals opposing the project or supporting the project have an opportunity to appeal the decision that comes from the Planning Commission. This body will then serve as the appeal body to consider all of the matters as it pertains to the parcel map. Just a couple of other items of note that may be useful both for council and the public is that one of the differences in where we are in the process today with the mobile home park, which is also a continued hearing, but it's a continued hearing of an appeal from the council to a future date, and where we are with the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission's only considering a parcel map. The mobile home park is considering a zone change, and there are different legal options to pursue to support or deny a zone change, or to support or deny a parcel map. And our city attorney is here if you wish for some additional detail on that or if it's a benefit to the public.
If you would provide that, please.
Well, with the zone change, the Planning Commission at the first level, and if an appeal is necessary, the city council has a great deal of latitude to approve or deny the zone change, because you're asking to change the zone and it goes against the general plan, and
Right.
there has to be really good reasons to do that. And if either body approves such a thing, you can impose all sorts of conditions. So it's a completely different animal. What we have here is a parcel that was zoned before it was ever brought into the city as multifamily, so it's a use by right, and the only thing that's pending in front of the Planning Commission is whether or not they can split the parcel in two. So there's very limited criteria that the Planning Commission needs to consider, and very limited reasons that they can use to justify denying a parcel split. Very limited. And one of the things they cannot consider is the proposed use. The fact that affordable housing is planned there is not a consideration for this exercise. So it's a completely different thing. What Mr. Goyal's trying to do, he has a very uphill battle. This other project, anyway. But the point is, you 5 will likely be the appellate body, so we can't get into too much detail because you have to come to it neutral. But that's what's happening. The Planning Commission's received a full legal brief from me about what they can and cannot do, and we have deliberately not given it to you all because it's likely you're going to be sitting in appeal and you need to come to it fresh. So you'll get the benefit of that if and when an appeal is filed.
Thank you. And I, just to understand correctly, there were multiple comments that were made and questions that were brought up, but it seems like traffic congestion, home values, population levels in the area, and incomplete roads are some of the concerns. Is that correct from the group?
Safety.
And safety. But safety with respect to, and if you have a public comment, if you could please come up to the microphone. It's a recorded meeting. But with respect to safety, the concern is that the increased traffic would result in unsafe conditions. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, I just had one comment that I was just interested in how the commission or how the Planning Commission, for example, there's 2 people on that commission. I feel that there's a conflict of interest. They shouldn't be allowed to vote, and those people are Darren Smith, because he sold that property to this developer. The other person is Mr. Goyal, because he would be benefited from this. You know, there's going to be more foot traffic to his store, and I feel he shouldn't be allowed to vote or be in that.
Appreciate that comment. And there are very specific reasons for conflict of interest. If we can refer back to our city attorney, and if you could give some examples where there would be a conflict that would need to be addressed.
There's 3 to 4 levels of review that we have to do to determine whether an elected or appointed official has a conflict of interest. If you were at the Planning Commission meeting that was held this month, one of the members was advised, we can only advise, that he should recuse himself because he's a board member on the Housing Authority. So he was asked to recuse himself. Mr. Smith, his situation was considered, but because he doesn't have a financial interest in the project, we have no basis to ask him to recuse himself.
But he was direct seller of the property. He was the actual listing agent of the property. And not only that, to fall back on depreciation of our property and our values, him directly is recorded on that meeting, stated that depreciation does happen. And I mean, who's going to be responsible for us losing value on our homes and our property, pretty much?
I got a letter in the mail from Jay Goyle. If I'm going to be selling my house, he wants us to consider him.
Sure, it's of course, it's marketing material.
I got it right here, so I feel he should be excused from that.
Well, like I say, if I'm asked to give opinions on that, there's analysis that I have to go through, and it's not just, it doesn't seem fair. Okay, there's 3 different statutes that I have to look at, and I've looked at it for the one gentleman that we did ask him to recuse himself, and I was asked the day, actually 10 minutes before the meeting, to look at Mr. Smith, and he just doesn't meet the criteria. I understand he might have done business with them in the past, but that's not the statutory criteria that we have to follow.
So this wouldn't be considered financial gain or a benefit?
There's nothing, it's a very complicated analysis, and I'd love to go over it with you, but this isn't the time. But he doesn't have an ownership interest in that property. If he did, he would clearly be excluded, clearly. But you have to have an ownership interest in the property.
And we encounter situations where we have to recuse ourselves as well. I've had to do it previously whenever I feel like there is a conflict. Even if there's a remote conflict, I do that. And so it's a practice that we follow here. But with respect to your question, we follow our attorney's advice, and we make sure that there isn't a conflict of interest in the decisions that we make. So,
is there any way we can get a clear explanation, maybe after this
of course,
meeting,
certainly,
on the 3 topics that they look into?
Certainly.
Regarding that?
Absolutely.
And we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Are there any other public comments?
Quick comment. In all due respect, city attorney, city manager, mayor, I totally understand the complexity of the matter. I do have 10 years of comprehensive health and safety training in safety matters and understand totally what it would take. And I like to offer my services to the city of Brawley when it comes to health and safety. Anything I can do to help, I care about the city and make sure that we get us going on the right track.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Any other public comment?
Yes, sir. My name is Bhagirath Kapoor, and I am a resident in Victoria Park. Sir, we do appreciate that there is a real complex situation that in the interest matter. But is it not feasible and advisable that the person should be advised to stay away? Because that will be of wider interest to everybody concerned. Mr. Darren Smith, the subject matter raised about his voting rights. In the public interest, will it not be advisable that you advise him to stay away or something like that?
Sir, it doesn't work like that. I have to follow the law. I can't just say it doesn't seem fair. I have to follow the law.
Fine, sir. May I go ahead with my comments?
Of course.
Thank you, sir. Friends, our famous city of Brawley has very rich heritage, golden past. Let us together shape a great future for our residents to their enjoyment. I am using the word enjoyment because in the proposition where Mr. Goel's proposition was rejected, there was a particular mention in the minutes that to the enjoyment of the people living in that area, to the enjoyment and devaluation of properties. That is particularly mentioned in the minutes. Continuing, greater future for our kids who are future of America. We should provide opportunities for education, exercise, good health, and physique. I'm emphasizing on exercise, good health, and physique. We all know healthy mind lives in healthy body. We have nostalgic memories of our childhood. We all proudly remember the school we went to when we were kids. Are we going to add to our kids' memories that their school was facing concrete and businesses with traffic hazards and security issues? No. Now is the time that we give them indoor stadiums with facilities of our national sports like basketball, table tennis, and other indoor entertainment activities, which will be of great interest in this case, as this will be right across the school if we have some such activity there. Our kids in the neighborhood have no such facilities. Let us provide them. Respected members, elected officials have the responsibility to their bright future by offering them not concrete jungles, but good health, exercise opportunities, and safe environment. We trust our request will meet the attention and necessary steps shall be initiated to ensure a bright and secure planning for residents and our kids. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any other public comments at this time? You can state your name for the record, please.
My name is Sergio Favela. I live in the community behind Whittier School. One issue that was brought up was safety and the overcrowding of our schools.
Yes.
As it is right now, whenever you go drop off your kid or pick him up, there's a big congestion of traffic in the area. I understand the board cannot decide whether you're going to build a park or you're going to build apartments. I understand that. However, the division of the parcel is something that perhaps this board or the planning board can help us out with. If something that was mentioned in the last meeting was that it was going to be built in 2 phases. First phase, you know, they start building, they already have the money for that, I guess. The second phase will be upon approval of the division of the parcel. However, the money is not there. So at one point, that construction, the whole thing could be halted and be left halfway. What we're asking right here is, perhaps you guys can help us on not dividing the parcel. We see that there's plenty of anomalies on this project, as far as safety, as far as planning for the schools. The schools are already overcrowded. If you add more apartment complex, and I don't care about the apartments or whatever you're going to build. It's just, if you add another complex right there, that is going to overcrowd more the school where my 4 kids go to. That is going to create more traffic when I take my kids to school or when I pick them up. To me, that's a safety concern. That's the safety right there. The overcrowding, the traffic hazard, and the evacuation plan. Like one of the other speakers said, if something was to happen in the area, there's only 2 streets where you can evacuate. And you're gonna, and in that one corner, you're gonna create another condensation of traffic, which is gonna make that a bigger safety hazard, as far as I understand. Like I said, I'm not saying don't build this, don't build that. But if you cannot help us with that, because I understand you might have your hands tied on what you can do, help us out at least to buy some time on not dividing that property, not dividing that parcel.
Thank you for your comment. And keep in mind, it still has to go before the Planning Commission, so nothing's been decided yet. It hasn't been approved. All we're doing is taking public comment at this time. We may end up being the appellate body here, so we need to make sure that we refrain from making comments back either in support or against the project. But we certainly are listening to everything that you're having to say. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a public comment at this time?
And just to be very, very clear, the City Council cannot take any action on this at all today. They have to wait until the Planning Commission takes action.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Katie Alcantara Santillan. And this question is for you, Bill. What I'd like for you to clarify, and I think people will get a better understanding, is that you had said that there is a certain limit of things that can be done by the City Council. And you said one of them a little while ago. For people to understand what the process is, what are the things that can make it happen to change what has been done already? You said you had a limited. So, I mean, I think if we get more understanding of what has taken place, because I'm also looking that everybody's concern is about their child and things like that. And you all have children, I'm pretty sure, and if you don't, well, we are very concerned about the issue if there was to be an accident. Does it take one life so then people can turn around and say, hey, we should have done this? No, it doesn't. I had a child that was killed years back, and let me tell you, there's not one day that I forget about it. So to me, safety is very, very important at this point. Now, this environmental assessment was done back in 2005. Now, if you had the same scenario between where I live on Willard and Pano, I am looking for property right now to build a business. Are you going to require in the future for any type of environmental assessment done in that area? And are you going to put a traffic light over there
I think
in the future?
That would be a separate topic, but if we could address the first question that was asked with respect to the limited opportunities we have.
Yes. All that's before the Planning Commission is a parcel map split. Okay? The property is zoned for what they want to build there. So the Planning Commission does not get to decide whether or not they can build apartments there. They simply don't. They get to decide whether or not they can split the parcel. And they have to consider, is the parcel split consistent with the general plan? That's a planning issue. Is the parcel map consistent with the zoning? So that's, again, a planning and engineering issue. Is there going to be an environmental concern? And by that, they're talking about fish, wildlife, habitat, So you couldn't, it'd be very difficult to do that maybe down where there's a wetlands or something. Off the top of my head, that's about it. Density, will the proposed parcel map create a density problem? And this is where people get really confused. The issue there is, will it meet the density standards for the zone? And that's, again, a planning issue. Now, you'll get a detailed brief of all this if you get appealed, and the Planning Commission has it. So what they do not get to decide is, gee whiz, I don't like this project, that sounds like it's not a good fit for the neighborhood, because it's already zoned for that. If they were coming up and requesting a zone change, if this was R1 and they wanted it R3, then all that stuff is on the table. But it's already zoned R3, and it has been since it became part of the city limits. So it's not a zone change. So you don't get to decide that, and it's unfortunate, but that's how it is. And the nature of the project, the fact that it's low-income housing, that adds a whole nother layer to it. Cities cannot discriminate about where those go. You simply can't.
So to answer your question, Ms. Santillan, it's off the top of his head, it was with respect to zoning, if it conforms to the general map, if there's environmental concerns, and density. And if that meets that criteria, those are the items that they would consider.
I want a clarification, and thank you very much. And you said what I had said regarding the Pano and the Dillard,
right,
was that there is connection, because I'm just looking at the fact that if you're proposing down the future for those areas alike, but why can't we do it over here? Because it is impacting the safety issue and the congestion that you have, because you do have a lot. I do hope that somewhere or other we're able to meet halfway on this, because it does impact on the devaluation. We're not being discriminatory in the fact that this is going to be for low income. That's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the fact that de-evaluation of the property, because when that was done, you did have those apartments that are currently right there, right now, what does not affect the devaluation. On this other part, yes, it would. And then the congestion that you have from Mayland going to Pano Road, there's no exits at this right now. That's the urgency that these individuals have that you need to take in consideration. So I do hope that you think about it, and we'll go from there, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, one more thing.
Sure.
If there is an appeal, it's really, really important that you understand that these hearings are evidentiary in nature, and you have to have evidence. Not your opinion is some evidence, but you really need evidence. That's especially when you talk about devaluation. You've got, because they can't base it on, they can, but you really have to have it. You have to have an appraiser. You have to have an expert to come and testify.
Well, I'm sure, like I said, you gave us clarification. You're also giving advice that maybe they'll take you up on that.
It's purely civics. That's all it is. It's just want to make sure people understand the process.
And that's what I wanted.
Because I don't have a position on it. All I will have to do is make sure they follow the process.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Chris Flores, I live on South 2nd Street. To fall back on what you just stated, Darren Smith is somebody that we trust that does this for a living. He's a broker and a real estate agent, right? What you just stated is that we have to have evidence and statistic it be proven. On that count, the Planning Commission meeting, he strictly or clearly stated depreciation. Which way he stated it, it was towards depreciation on our property. It was. We have yet to get the minutes from that last meeting to bring this to the floor here.
Sure.
But he's somebody that we trust, and I know there's people in here that purchase property from him directly in the area. You know, directly he sold a house there. And he told them also, which is off the topic, I mean, it's not relevant to what's going on. You know, he promised a park. We do have a park. We came to that we do have a park, but he's somebody we trust that does this for a living. You know, so that should fall onto what you just said. He does this for a living. So I'm just trying to get a clarification on that. So, I mean, we did fall onto somebody that does this, and we trust on doing this, and when they come and try to
talking about if you all appeal,
No, I know.
To the
but what-
city council, you need evidence. That's all I'm saying.
I know, that's why I'm saying, we have evidence, we have yet to pull the minutes. He's a real estate agent and a broker, he does this for a living, and he clearly stated himself, sitting there in front of us, that depreciation.
Well, I would say as a real estate broker myself, an opinion is different than a written opinion, a broker's opinion. It's very different. So when he's saying evidence is that, you know, an appraised value of a property and a determination, a more formal determination would be required. But keep in mind, we're accepting all comments.
Yeah.
I should also share with you that I have received phone calls, and they haven't always been pleasant. Some of them had to do with the fact that they didn't want low-income residents at the property. So it's not just the comments we're hearing today.
Yeah, and I know that the property was sold for just shy of $300,000. When up the street, there's property for sale for practically free. The school district purchased a piece of property that was way lower than that, and it's just, I mean, not to move away from, like, to be discriminatory towards this, it's just the fact that the study, like, we're so congested already, and then it talked about a 2008 increase, this and that, but, I mean, realistically, without South 2nd and 1st Street completed to Wildcat Road, the study shows that it's actually just shy of 11,000 trips a day, and that oversees the capacity by a mile. I mean, it's, you know, so just.
And we appreciate the comments, and keep in mind, just I want to clarify a point. We're accepting comment, public comment. If, in fact, it goes before the Planning Commission and they approve the project and they're moving forward and you decide to appeal it, we will consider all items.
Yes.
And that would be, obviously, traffic and other items that we're considering at that point. So right now, we're just accepting public comment. I know there's a little bit of discussion back and forth, but we try and limit that as much as possible.
It's just a question I wanted to bring up, so that maybe you guys can help us on that and get us a clarification. And then also, if I can get a printout of what the 3 topics are that you have to fall onto as far as them reclusing themselves from this. So, I mean, if I can get that eventually, that'd be great.
You can find it in the city's zoning ordinance and in the California Government Code.
Okay.
Okay, we can't advocate for either side. I guess that's the point.
You can't help me to get that
No,
stuff?
I can't. I can't be your
Okay.
advocate. I have to be the attorney for the city.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, council and staff. My name is Maritza Nunez, and I live on Kindig Avenue, which is part of the Malin subdivision. And I know it's not my right nor my responsibility to determine where anybody may or may not live. However, it is the most important responsibility that my husband and I share is to provide and protect our family, which include our 3 daughters, Adriana, Allison, and Emma. And within that, in raising them to be good citizens of society, as you see, this room is full of proud Brawleyites. We give back to our community. I sit on the Parks and Rec Committee. I'm part of the Witter PTO. And in part of that, I would have liked to have been involved at the onset of when this discussion was being had. I feel like we weren't even invited to the table when these discussions were being had. And for Councilmember Noriega to have been the only one to question about notifying the residents, and she's the most novice one on here. You guys are here to represent us, and I get it's not required by law, but it's your due diligence, and I believe your due diligence wasn't had at that point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other comment?
Quick comment. Geraldo Marcelino Aguilar, Sr. On site plan Malin Street permits. We're on to something. I'd like to leave something for council to take a look at.
Thank you very much.
Also, I do have something notarized from 305 Terrace Circle, which I did reside at one point, trying to purchase the property from Mr. Andrew Dom and the Dom team. And found some interesting finds there, but I do have some documentation, city attorney, that is notarized for the record. And, you know, we just got to get what we need to get done and find it. And if we believe in God, and God is who we trust, we're going to get done what we got to get done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aguilar, for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment at this time? Any comments from council? I know I've spoke on behalf of council, but is there any comments? Councilmember Wharton? Members Morton, excuse me.
As always, I appreciate everyone taking the time to come out this afternoon. Each and every concern whether fact or opinion, it's all important. I always share that at the hearing process. I always like to reiterate at least my own opinion. Extremely helpful for me always to listen. Also bear in mind, I think this council, we consider legality, facts, everything we can collect. And I hope that the notion that anybody on this council, much less myself, would feel that if there was something not serving in the better interest of the community, that we would somehow withhold information. It's certainly not the case. It's not just following the laws. We understand that. We really, I think, as a city, try to push to go above and beyond. So, again, I appreciate everyone being out here. I myself, like many of you, some of you that do know me, know that I share some of the same concerns in my own neighborhood, subdivision, and I do want to state that moving forward, however this does actually, if it does eventually come to us, that it will always be absolutely considered from top to bottom. And other than that, again, I just want to reiterate, I appreciate coming out this afternoon.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Warren. Any other council member comments?
Yeah, good evening to everyone, and thank you guys for coming out. I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of the homeowners in that area, and no disrespect to the Housing Authority. I'm one of those guys that grew up in the projects. I understand that need. The Housing Authority is doing what they need to do, but we need to look at the whole aspect of things and evaluate everybody's concerns, and we really do. We hear your concerns. And once this process takes place, and then it'll come back to this council, and we'll be taking action.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for being here. We do appreciate you coming into the council meeting, stating what your wishes are, what your concerns are. I think that's important for the public to do. Otherwise, we don't always get the information in the way that we should, and a lot of it's coming at us from a lot of different points. If you come here, it's usually pretty concise and usually very much to the point, so we do appreciate that. And like I say, we'll be making a decision. We may be making a decision. We may have to do that, and we'll make it in what we think is the best interest of the city of Brawley and the residents here. We'll also follow the law, which is what we're required to do as the city council. So just want to thank you all for being here, and we appreciate it.
Hello and good afternoon to all of you. It's so nice to see all these young faces here. You are our future, and one of these days there'll be 5 of you that are sitting out there will be sitting up where we're sitting, and I do pray that that one day does come along. It's very difficult to sit up here, and it's very difficult to make the decisions that we make at times, but for me, I can honestly say I do believe in letting everyone know and treating everybody fair. I've talked to a couple people from the Housing Authority also, and they don't have, it wasn't their idea to put it there. They were pretty much given the lot, and it's, you know, they work with, my grandmother lived in the Housing Authority, and I'm sure most of you, had family that lived there. And it's not because we don't want us living there. It's not that, because you all know that that's where we came from. But it does mean a lot when it comes to our children, our grandchildren, the safety of our children. And I do believe that there's a lot of things we need to do as a council. So thank you for being here. And I pray to God that we do the right thing.
Thank you for those comments. And I just want to thank everybody for your participation. I know it's a difficult time for you. For council, we're here to accept public comment, to listen to some of the concerns that you've shared, and we've listened very intently and carefully. And it still needs, again, it still needs to go before the Planning Commission. We're unsure of what that result will be and whether or not that plan will be approved or not. But you have the opportunity to appeal that process and come before the City Council. At that time, it would be a full disclosure. The discussion would be very open and transparent, and then it would be up to the City Council to make that decision. At this time, though, we're just accepting public comment, and we certainly appreciate everybody coming out here. I know it's something you're passionate about. Anytime we talk about our children and our kids and their safety, it's an item that brings everybody's attention forward. So again, thank you very much for your comments. If there's no other public comment at this time, we're going to move on with the agenda. Is there any other public comment with respect to this matter? Seeing none, I just, again, want to thank you all very much for participating in the process, and we're going to move on our city council meeting to the consent agenda, so thank you all very much. We'll take a short break. I know a lot of you are going to clear out of the room, so we'll take a 3-minute break.
We wish you wouldn't.
Move on. Next item on the agenda is item 3, consent agenda. Items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is regular business. 5A, discussion potential action to authorize a contract in the amount of $29,594 to Lee & Rowe to provide professional services to prepare the 2015 Urban Water Management Plan required by the state of California.
Hi, good evening, good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Council members, Yasmin Arellano, Public Works Director. The Urban Water Management Plan is a 5-year plan for the conservation and efficient use of water. Once prepared, it will require public review as well as adoption by the City Council. And the city's deadline to submit this adopted publicly reviewed plan to the Department of Water Resources is July 1st of 2016. This new update will require significant changes as it will consider population projections all the way to 2020, water demand growth, per capita usage, and an assessment of the city's conservation efforts that we're currently undergoing, and also recommended water strategies to meet future water demands.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve this item?
I make a motion that we approve this item to Lee & Rowe.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any discussion by council? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is regular business 5B, discussion potential action to approve request from the Imperial County Film Commission to sell and consume alcohol on public property for the First Friday's Art Walk on November 6, 2015 from 6 to 10 p.m.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. Pat Dorsey, Recreation Director. We're asking that you approve the request from the Imperial County Film Commission to sell and consume alcohol on public property for the First Friday, which will be November 6, 2015. And that's in the public parking area of G Street.
So moved.
There's a motion to approve. There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Josh Manus did contact me earlier with respect to that item. He wasn't able to attend because he's busy working with his small business delivering food. So congratulations to him on both fronts. Next item on the agenda is 5C, discussion potential action to approve volume software licensing agreement with Microsoft Enterprise for email business software and operating systems scheduled to expire August 31st, 2015. I make a motion to approve.
I second.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are they, have we done business with them in the future? It says the new agreement, but it has?
Yes, we have. So these are the licenses for all of the software that employees throughout the city utilize. So it's set to expire at the end of this month. This is the renewal, and we had the final quote in hand at the time of agenda posting, but we did not have the agreement. So we circulated via email the agreement and had hard copies here for you today as well.
And what is the difference between what we paid them 3 years ago or whatever the?
I don't have that figure with me. I can follow up with communication to all of you. There is a difference in the scope of work aside from the renewal. You may recall during the budget process we talked about the archiving system for all of our electronic files. We have had an opportunity with this renewal to combine the email archiving for all of city communications into the product that's available via Microsoft. So this is going to address two areas of need, which is the email archiving. We'll no longer need to have a solution on premises, the hardware to store all of the emails. Instead, we'll have an off-site cloud that's available, and they'll actually take care of the transfer of all the files for us as well. So it's an expanded scope of work that's a takeoff on the licensing agreement.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is discussion potential action to authorize repair of water distribution pump 421 by Sloan Electric in the amount of $19,854 for use at the City of Brawley water treatment plant.
Good afternoon again, Yasmin Arellano, Public Works Director. The City of Brawley Water Treatment Plant has 5 distribution booster pumps to move the treated water and to provide system pressure to the City of Brawley water service area. One of the 5 pumps has failed, and the repair is very challenging as it is located 35 feet below grade to work with the existing elevation of the finished water reservoirs at the water treatment plant. After several pump evaluation attempts, it appears that the pump shaft has issues, so it could be broken, or probably it got disconnected from the pump impeller. Prior to removal, an evaluation of the complete repair was not possible. The current repair scope of work includes the pump, the pulling of the pump, the disassembly, inspection, parts, bearings, shafting, and reinstallation and testing, assuming that either the shaft is broken or it became loose. Should the pump repair need additional work, the cost of repair may increase, and staff will bring that back to council to ratify the action.
And it's just a reconditioning of the pump assembly, is that right? The pump itself? It's not a replacement of...
It's not a replacement, it's a repair.
Wow. Hate to think of what it costs for the replacement.
Right, the only quote that came in with prevailing wage rates was from Sloan Electric in the amount of $19,854.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I second. There's a motion, there's a second. Any further discussion by council? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is discussion potential action on November 3rd, 2015 regarding regular city council meeting time change. I believe this was brought forth by Councilmember Couchman. It had suggested a time change. Is there?
I had thought that this fell within cattle call activities, but it looks like that's the following week, so I don't really have a problem with the 3rd other than it being election day. Those of you that are running may have other requirements or responsibilities. It's kind of a moot point with me now, but if we want to change it, we can. I don't know what the feeling is on the part of the council.
I'm willing to consider any time change if there's any other conflict with schedules or anyone else on council. Everybody want to remain at the same time? Councilmember Couchman, are you sure about that? Or did you want to change it to a sooner?
I'm fine because I'm not running for office, and even though it's election day, I don't have a problem with it. I thought it fell within the cattle call activities timeframe, and that was my bigger concern because we're usually involved in both chamber mixers, mariachi festival, and all that at that week, and I just think that's a bad week to get involved in it, and also have a council.
We could consider at least 5 o'clock instead of 6 and kind of bring it up a little bit.
We could do that.
Make the agenda light.
We could do that, and also maybe a smaller agenda at that time.
Is there a motion for 5 o'clock?
I move that we move the city council meeting on the 3rd to 5 o'clock p.m. that evening.
One question from our city manager.
I didn't mean to interrupt your motion, just wish for further direction on the topic of whether you are open to closed session items or not on that day.
I don't think we should have closed session.
I think we should keep the agenda light if we're going to be doing it.
Okay, thank you.
Does that mean closed session?
If it's a quick topic, I would say include it. Otherwise,
discussion.
I know.
We can keep it
That's what I'm
quick.
saying.
Personnel issues, I would say no.
Yeah, if it's a big topic, no. If it's something quick, okay.
Okay.
So
That's my opinion.
There's a motion for 5 p.m. change on November 3rd. There's a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our meeting for November 3rd will be changed to 5 p.m.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is departmental reports, and this is a presentation by Yasmin Arellano, Public Works Director, regarding Allied Waste Fall Cleanup Day on October 24th from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 2015 Cattle Call Parade Chair Protocol for Main Street.
Hi, good afternoon. I have the two items today. Well, the first one, I'd like to invite all the Brawley residents to the Brawley cleanup on Saturday, October 24th, which is in a couple of days, starting at 7 a.m. all the way to 2 p.m. And this is going to be near the Brawley Airport at Ken Business Drive. And everybody knows how to get there, so head east on Main, north on Northeastern Avenue, and then east on Jones to Ken Bemis.
And they need what with them?
Just some type of a receipt or a water bill that shows their Brawley address.
Yeah. And then their ID.
And
Yes.
And ID. Okay.
And what you can bring is tires, appliances without Freon, just general solid waste. Let's say you're getting ready for your fall cleanup, computer monitors, green waste, air conditioners, washers, dryers, refrigerators, televisions, couch, chairs, tables, etc.
I know there was some discussion about having the dump facility open for direct access to dump trash there. Is that going to be the case, or are they still going to be doing it over just here in Brawley?
My understanding is that it will be open, but I can double check that.
Okay. And the reason for it was that there was a long line, people waiting in line for extended periods of time, and so they thought that they'd offer the landfill so you can have direct access there and dump there. So, very well. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And then I would like to discuss, is the time of the year again to talk about the Cattle Call Parade. The parade will take place on Saturday, November the 14th. And this is the route, what we have uploaded into the screen. So it hasn't changed. It's the same route from last year. We have the closures from Palm all the way to Western. The parade route typically goes, well, that's basically where we go from east to west. Where can we put our chairs? As long as we don't block the pedestrian access. So in areas where we have white sidewalk, which, as we can see in the first picture, we can place the chairs adjacent to the street, and then we can leave about 5 feet for the pedestrians to travel behind the chairs. But in areas such as our downtown area, where we have the sidewalk attached to the curb and gutter, and then it's only a 5-foot walkway, we would like for the chairs to be placed behind the sidewalk. Any chairs that are in violation will be removed and be taken to the Public Works office. Will we be open an extra 30 minutes on Friday, so they can be picked up at 5:30. We're not responsible, because typically these chairs don't have names, so we're not responsible for...
Who picks up what?
Pardon me?
Who picks up what?
Exactly.
They're going to pick them all.
Exactly.
What time can they set them out? Did we establish a time?
6 a.m.
6 a.m. on
The Friday.
Friday.
The Friday, the day prior to the parade.
And I know we do try to give people the courtesy of maintaining their spaces and not interrupt them too much.
If I may ask, in the past, we didn't have much of a problem, did we, since we took over Main Street?
Not so much.
How'd that work last year?
It worked out. However, we removed about 20 chairs, and we had other people pick them up, and we had some residents upset because they took their chairs.
Councilmember Couchman uses 20 lifeguard chairs, so they're a little bit higher than the rest.
Okay.
I do a lot of wild things.
People can't see behind you.
I think I'm the one that started the whole chair issue.
You did?
Yeah, I think
I don't remember.
for the last 3 or 4 years, or at least that long.
I give everyone his cell phone number.
Yeah, that's fine. Just tell them to call.
Thank you.
I'll tell them how to well, no, we won't go into that.
Very well.
One other point of highlight is that any of the chairs on the Caltrans right-of-way between First and
Yes,
Western are to be retrieved from the maintenance yard of
Yeah.
Caltrans, not from our Public Works yard.
Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
The only way to do that is to sit on there and move them as they come by and then put them back out.
That's advice from our council member there. We're on record. There you go.
Done it many times. Wow.
Is there any other comment? Thank you, Yasmin.
Thank
for
you
that
very much.
update.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is informational items. City council member reports. We'll start with council member Noriega.
Yes.
I was privileged to go to the 1965 class reunion. I was invited to do the invocation. I have to say, even at that class reunion, they had it at the Stockman's, and it was pretty full. I was astounded how many classmates had shown up. The food was delicious. We had steaks, and I'd like to be invited again. And then today, of course, Jason announced that we're going to have a chamber mixer. I believe it's 75 years. They're celebrating at the Heart Insurance, and everyone is invited. She's got food from Chavela's, from Brownies, from Christina's, any kind of food you like. So please come, food and drinks. And it starts at 5:30? 5:30. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Couchman.
Well, I had a kind of a busy 2 weeks, I guess. I attended the Flat-tailed Horned Lizard Committee meeting, and the problem issue there is that we feel the federal government may designate the flat-tailed horned lizard as an endangered species. If that happens, that's going to affect usage of the desert area, especially to the west of us, and also maybe possibly also to the east and any other of the desert areas. And so we are very concerned about that. We would prefer it not be listed as an endangered species if that's possible, and then that leaves the desert open to recreation and also some development, probably. As you're seeing, there's a lot of interest in solar and all of that type of thing. So we would just like to keep that reptile off the endangered species list. I don't know whether we're going to be successful or not, but I'm involved in the meeting.
Have you taken them back?
What?
The lizards.
The lizards that I have,
yes.
that I've captured before, many years ago, yes, but not lately.
Okay.
No. Okay. Boys and Girls Club combo auction, I also attended that. It was a nice event. Not as well attended, I think, although I think they raised, the usual amount of money, but there were a lot of events in El Centro. There were some events around town that were going on at the same time. And so while it was a great event and it does benefit the boys and girls extensively across the valley now, I do believe that we need to support that type of activity, and so I was there. The PMH Gala at Pioneers Memorial Hospital, I attended that along with my fellow council members, and that was a nice event. PMH uses it to raise money for the Pioneers Hospital Foundation, and then they contribute that for various services within the Pioneers Hospital, and that's very, very important to us, as you know.
And we were wet. We were wet.
Yeah, it was raining a little bit. We were a little worried about that, but actually it worked out pretty well towards the end. It got a little rain on things, and then it kind of cooled off, and I thought it was a very nice evening. Cattle Call concert, I attended that at the Barberworth, the new gym facility that they have, or the multi-purpose facility that they have there. Great little concert. I thought they did a real good job. NOCA, I think, is involved in that, and some of our other, and the Corral Society for here locally, IV Corral Society, they're involved, and so it was a real neat cattle call pre-concert. I attended the Military Vehicle Convoy when they came into El Centro, the Military Vehicle Convoy Collectors Association, whatever that is. They came into El Centro. They had a convoy, about 50 vehicles. They were traveling from Washington, D.C. to San Diego on a cross-the-country road trip. Very interesting vehicles, World War I, World War II, current stuff, military half-track, Jeeps, et cetera. A very interesting historical presentation, so I attended that in El Centro. I did the walk to school, Phil Swing. We walked to school. I think that occurred the day after our last meeting, so we all walked to school with the kids. The 6th graders are not as gullible as the 4th graders. I tell them stories. They don't listen as much, and they don't believe me all the time, but that's okay. I walked with my grandson, who was the ASB president at Phil Swing, and so we had a real good time with that. Really neat walk. A lot of the kids participated, and it was really great event. I also attended the Sacred Heart garden planting. They're doing gardens around the different schools and the different youth organizations within the valley. There's a gardener that goes, I think, from the health department at the county, and they're helping them plant community gardens or little school gardens, and I was able to attend that. And so that was a really nice little event, and they had parents there helping, and the little kids, these were like the preschoolers at Sacred Heart, and they did a really good job of planting everything. And you try to tell them, don't put too much splash water on that, or don't plant that way, and they're planting things all over the place. But it was a really fun event, and everybody, I think, had a good time. And with that, I know there's been a lot of activity in the city. I travel around all the time, visiting and seeing the city staff at work, and I do appreciate their efforts. And with that, I'm finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Couchman.
Man, I have to follow Sam?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell. Were you planning out there?
No,
he didn't play.
I have a job.
I'm retired.
Yeah. Good evening again. Guys, I want to have a couple items. I attended the fire station number 2 open house, and our staff put on a real good job for the kids and the food, and it was a lot of fun going through that smoke trailer again and learn how to escape and get out of a fire. They do a good job doing that. I also attended the Florentine ribbon cutting, the condominiums and the new homes over off of a panel. Those really turned out nice. They did a good job with that. I attended the PMH Gala, watching the portraits sell. I didn't buy one this time. It was kind of, but that's always a nice event. I want to thank staff and everybody for the hard work that they do, and I don't think we're going to meet again before the election, and I want to wish all of the candidates good luck and wish everybody well, and I just ask that God continue to bless us and watch over us and keep us safe. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Councilmember Campbell. Mayor Pro Tem Wharton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Microphone, hello. I did attend the Farm Bureau Annual Farmer of the Year. Congratulations to Mr. Bill Brandt for that honor this year. Again, all was well attended there, and again, it was a great evening punctuated with Mr. Brandt getting that award. Fire Station number 2 open house was fantastic. I think it was a record crowd, so a big congratulations to staff and in particular the fire department for putting on just a great community event. On my way back in, I did stop by the library book sale, and I did buy my $1 bag of books. I think I could have crammed more books in there, but I just walked away with what I did. I found some good titles, so again, thank you to the Friends of the Library. Always do a great job with that. The Florentine Collection event, again, was fantastic. As Councilmember Campbell mentioned, that rec center, they really created kind of a nice little community within the community over there. If you know somebody or get a chance to go over there, get eyes on it. Again, they've done a fantastic job. I did attend the Dia de la Raza Hidalgo honoring of the Co-Hispanics of the Year, and Ana Palomino and Ernie Mariscal were the honorees that night. Congratulations to them. It was great to be there with that family. I was hoping there was some Johnny's Bucks to go around, but I didn't. Certainly missed out on that part. But really, really fantastic to see the families out to honor those 2 honorees that night. And then the Gala Foundation, as with my fellow council members, of course, attended that. And I do want to put out a congratulations to Greg Smith for being awarded the Margaret Award that evening. And then finally, we ended with the Brawley Business Advisory Committee. I do want to report out real quick. I didn't get to bring the draft, but the committee is working on that new business guide. It's a trifold, so we kind of had version 1.0. Again, I wish I had something so I wasn't kind of holding up air here, but it's a great step in a positive direction in our efforts to make business Brawley focused on being business friendly, not just for new businesses as well as existing businesses. So more work to be done on that. I'm sure that will come before council once there's kind of a finished product. That's all I have to report.
Thank you for that report. And I also attended the Fire Station number 2 open house. Nice event. It was a big crowd out there, and so I appreciate everybody attending, and I particular consideration for our fire staff and the personnel out there. They did a really good job entertaining the kids, and it was a very nice event. And helicopter landed and picked up some dust there again, but they made sure they put the bay doors down this time before they, they didn't want to knock over a podium or anything else, right? So it was a good event.
At me?
I'm just saying there was a pilot that did that. Yeah. But also attended the PMH Gala event, and I was honored to help out initially at the drink station. I helped out with Mayor Pro Tem Wharton, and we made sure that the drinks were very cold, and we had to sample a few to make sure that they were. So it was a nice event, nice turnout, and the weather, although it was a little bit moist at night, it cleared up, and it was nice and breezy and cooled off. So I think people enjoyed it quite a bit. So that was a great time out there as well. Also interviewed with Roy Dorantes regarding the Film Commission. I am the current president of the Film Commission, and the subject of the interview was with respect to the filming that takes place here in Imperial County. The Film Commission and filming in Imperial County brings in millions of dollars to the Valley. And so a lot of it happens in the north end, and we benefit from it here in our hotels, and we benefit from it in our restaurants and other things. And so there was a Toyota Tacoma commercial. If you haven't seen it, it's awesome. It's out at, filmed locally. Part of it was out at Plaster City, Superstition area, and part of it was filmed out in Glamis. But that's generally a crew of about 150 people. And about 150 people for 3 days generates about $300,000 for Imperial County. So it's a big deal. We're having about 6 projects that are tracked every month. And so we're happy to see that increase. It's increased over the past several years, but I think our board and our executive director, Charlotte Cedars, has done a very good job in promoting what we do here in Imperial County. And again, it brings in multiple millions of dollars every year, so I'm happy to see that. We're also going to be having our film festival. It's this weekend, and that's some great exposure for our Valley. It's also important to note that there's going to be some actors and directors that are coming down for this event, so it's a good opportunity for the public to go out there and learn from them. They're also going to be having some classes on makeup application for movies. And so it'll be like, doing horror movies and how the makeup application would take place in those and other types of classes. So it should be a really nice event. It's great exposure for the Valley. I hope you can make it out there. And let's see, what other thing? The Walk to School. I participated, a nice event with Councilmember Couchman, and we had a good time doing that with the kids that participated. Nice people, and I'm glad that the students were out there walking to school. Councilmember Couchman did try to distract me and say, maybe we should take this shortcut and not make it to school today. Ride the fire truck. Ride the fire truck, yeah, that's right. But it was a nice event, and the firefighters were out there, the police were out there, and some of the explorers actually participated as well, so thank them all very much. And that's basically it. There's other things that took place over the past 2 weeks, but I'll keep it short at this time, and I want to thank you very much for participating and coming out here today.
Mayor?
Yes.
There's a couple of things I forgot. We're having, on November the 11th, we're having the ceremony for the Veterans Memorial Wall, and you're all invited. And Mayor, we would like to ask you if you would like to do the welcoming part. And then also, I welcome the rest of the council members to participate after the mayor gives his welcoming, and he will introduce each one of us. Okay, and then everyone's invited. We're going to start at exactly 5 o'clock. We can't start any earlier nor any later. And the reason for that is because we have mariachi night. They will start at 6:30. So please make your statements brief. As brief as possible, so we can get everyone else that's involved. It's a pretty lengthy one, but we're trying to get everybody to, 1 minute little speech that you have, okay? And then also on Tuesdays, I was asked to announce that on Tuesdays, the American Legion has taco night on every Tuesday for $6. 3 tacos, rice and beans, and the whole public is invited. Anyone, we had some people from El Centro coming in this last Tuesday, so please come. And also on Friday nights, they also have steak night, and everyone is also invited to come. And I believe it's $18 for the steaks and $12 for fish. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no other public comment at this time. I'm going to move on to our city manager's report.
You may have noted that in today's backup, we do have some PowerPoint slides that I'm prepared to walk through if the council would like me to.
Yes.
But I have a couple of other brief remarks before that that I thought you might be interested in. With the help of Community Development Services, we will be conducting, I don't think it's working. We will be conducting surveys at 2 of our mobile home parks in the city of Brawley. We are conducting these surveys in cooperation with Coachella Valley Housing Coalition, and we are currently communicating with the property owners to make them aware of our staff presence on site. There have been some recent funding opportunities that have been announced, and we are in the process of evaluating whether or not they may be a fit based on the types of households that are associated with these 2 parks. And the 2 parks in question are Malin and Highway 86. as well as North Imperial Avenue and A Street. So more information coming on that front here in the future. Also wanted to note that on that this week our utility billing will go out, and the utility billing statements include inserts for the continued public hearing for the water and sewer rate study. And that rate study item will be considered at the council meeting on November 17th, and that meeting will take place at the Lions Center. And we'll be running a number of ads in English and in Spanish. The inserts that were prepared are an abbreviated form, community announcement of the fact that rate changes are under consideration, and then we provide where people can find, how and where people can find out more, should they be interested, or inviting them to come to the meeting itself to express their opinions on the record. The third point I wanted to make was that next week is the League of Cities. City of Brawley is the host, and that will take place Thursday evening at Asagio's. So we're looking forward to extending a warm welcome to all of our neighboring jurisdictions. And with that, if I may step down for a moment, I have some slides to run through.
So the item on the agenda is City Manager's Report, and it's regarding the 980 work schedule. I know some of you in attendance are here because of this item, and it's an item that, after discussion with some of the employees within the city, I agreed to have this back on our agenda for discussion, and that's what this is the initial conversation. Our city manager's reporting back some of the pros and cons and our current status. So that's what this is today.
Thank you. So this is just a few slides to go through a little bit of the history of 980. In September of 2008, the City of Brawley implemented a modified schedule for many of our traditional offices, and those would be, generally speaking, anybody that isn't part of public safety calls for service. So generally speaking, we implemented a change in work hours and a change in schedule, and part of the changes that were considered at that time as our normal opening times for offices used to be 8 a.m. And 8 to 5 with typical closure over the lunch hour from 12 to 1. So at the time that we implemented in 2008, we opened offices an hour earlier and stayed open an hour later and staggered the staffing in a manner that allowed for that to occur. With the exception of critical services and fire and PD and community development services, when first implemented, the city offices were actually closed every other Friday, with the exception of the 3 noted departments. From an overall point of view, this affected people who, we have all kinds of employees throughout the organization assigned to different work schedules, but generally speaking, the 980 affected the type of employees that work a typical 8-hour day and 80 hours over a 2-week period. We later modified the manner in which we implemented 980 to skeletal staffing on Fridays, and this was in response to demands for service all throughout the week and concerns and sensitivity to how the public responded to office closures. And then in September of 2013, we actually discontinued the 980 schedule in its entirety. And I'll give you a little bit more information on why that transpired. We did a little bit too many, we're missing. Okay, so what are the benefits of a 980 schedule? It's an awesome employee benefit. Our employees love it. And if we could readily provide it, it's a great way to keep people satisfied with their jobs. It gave us extended access before 8 a.m. and after 5 o'clock. When it was originally implemented under former city manager Gary Burrows, the potential for energy savings was highlighted as a benefit because of the office closures. But the city did not document in the period that every Friday was closed. There was no comparative data gathering for life before 980s or life after 980s. The other benefit was that it provided for a day in the week that people could take care of their personal business and personal appointments, and would, perhaps be an offset to requests for time off in a normal work week. The con side of the 980 is that our public demands on our city services continue to increase, not decrease. Personal appointments, even though we might want to have them scheduled on a Friday, sometimes we're at the mercy of the individuals who we wish to have appointments with, such as local physicians or any number of services available. So we can't always schedule it for the times that we're off on Fridays. We were restricting eligibility to some divisions because the departments or divisions were just too small. So what would happen in effect is that if you had a very small department, you couldn't implement it because you're literally shutting down the shop for more than one Friday every 2-week period. So it has the effect, if it's implemented citywide, of being a benefit you can't extend to all parties. Only those departments that are largest, which in our city is our Public Works Department as well as the Police Department. There are a number of departments in the city that the staffing levels, if we wish to implement a 980, that there's no way we can continue to deliver the services that we do without affecting our ability to serve. So there is an associated service level effect. And some examples would be, for instance, this is a building with 4 people in it. So, and we struggle tremendously to keep 2 people in the building at any one time for security purposes. Planning department's another example. There's several departments that are very small, and even the finance department struggled because we've leaned that department so extensively over the last couple of years and attempted to streamline a lot of the processes. We can't provide the skeletal staffing option with some 980s on or some 980s off. It was the position of the finance department in advance of reversal of 980s that they could no longer staff with Fridays open with skeletal staffing. Okay, so in 2012, just as a reminder, we had layoffs due to the dissolution of the redevelopment agency. We froze quite a few positions, a total of 16. 11 were support function positions. Some of our departments today are just too lean to accomplish the modified schedule. Office closure, if that is something that the council has an appetite for, it does impact overall service levels, but that is one way that we could accomplish providing the benefit if there's a desire to, or an acceptance of a service level reduction. And if we were to only extend it on a very limited basis, the 2 largest departments are likely the only folks that may be able to benefit, and it would not be all divisions within those departments. It would be some of those divisions within the departments. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Well, thank you for bringing those items up. I know we had discussed it previously, and with respect to some of the items, for example, the finance department, I know we were concerned with the fact that people couldn't make their payments on Friday. I know we've had an increased use of credit cards, so that helps to limit that problem. But I really wanted to open up for discussion. I know it's under the city manager's report, but I wanted to open up for discussion amongst council. I did commit to having this item before the city council on behalf of the employees that requested it, so I just wanted to open it up for discussion, and if it needs to go before regular business, we'll do that, but just an initial conversation here.
Have we done any kind of survey with other cities, and I don't mean just Imperial Valley, but with other cities, and see how they do it? Because there are cities that our size that have done this and has worked them out. I think there's like I can't remember right now, but I'd have to look at the card, but I have been asking as I go to conferences and stuff and asked them about their 980. And for them, it took a while before the the customers or clientele at finance, got used to it. But once they got used to it, it was okay. It's just like if we could IIDs off every other Friday, if we could kind of coincide with what they do, and that way everybody's on the same, time frame. Sometimes we don't think things out, but I think that if we do, some survey and just kind of continue to see if somehow, some way we could help out. Okay?
Any concerns, questions?
Well, my concern is the general public doesn't like the 980. If you shut the office every other Friday, they certainly don't like it. If you put a skeleton crew in there and they can't get the services that they want, they tell me they don't like that. And so I know that it's not viewed from the public as a benefit to the public as related to services. I know it's a great employee benefit, and we attempted it at the county, and there are some county departments, I think, that utilize it, but there were some problems inherent in it, especially with smaller departments or departments that don't have enough staff. And then if you can't do it for everybody, that's kind of unfair to offer it to some employees but not to others. And if it results in a closure for one day, then that's a negative, from my viewpoint, that's a negative that I get from the public, that they would prefer not to have that. And that's not all the public, but certainly I think a lot of the public feel that way. At least that's been my feedback on this. What I found is 980 was originally implemented more as a cost savings when we had some of the issues related to energy consumption, and there was a time period way back when they wanted some governmental offices to close because of the energy issues, and so it was considered if you closed, you could save money. If you didn't close, the savings really isn't there. So there was a question of savings. Where the other issue was it was implemented as an employee benefit. Now, as an employee benefit, that would be a negotiated item, and it would be something that you would look at as an employee benefit, because it really does equate out to employee benefit. But what I found in regards to appointments and those types of things is that's not easy to accomplish with medical or anything else, to accomplish things on a Friday. It does give you an opportunity to do your personal business on a Friday or do certain things that you may need to do at that time. But as far as medical appointments and stuff, that doesn't usually work out very well, because a lot of the doctors don't see people on a Friday, especially specialists. If you have to travel to San Diego, there are all kinds of little issues related to that. I think it's something we can continue to kind of survey and discuss, and certainly maybe stay open to that. I'm not sure with staffing levels at what they are right now that we can afford to go back to that. I think the public likes the 8 to 5. I do think that they like that even better, and they would prefer that we be open during lunch also, although sometimes we can't even accommodate that. And so I just think we can continue to look at it. I'm not closed-minded about it, but I'm certainly not necessarily sold on our ability to do it and be fair throughout to city employees within the city government.
I think those are valid points, and there is a short list of pros and cons here. I know that list is much more extensive than just the short list of items here, to include employee morale and productivity and those sorts of things. So, and I agree with Councilmember Noriega, having some access to maybe some of the pros and cons that have been experienced by other cities, I think is very important.
And change it to Mondays, if not Fridays?
It could be one of many considerations. Yeah. Right.
One other thing that I wanted to bring up was that I think sometimes when we do the 980, we result in overtime pay. So we'd have to do some kind of survey to identify if we have to call people out for emergencies, if there's that kind of stuff, what is the impact on our budget in terms of the overtime pay? And I would like to take a look at that if we're going to implement anything in the 980 area.
Overtime is certainly an item to consider, and I also would add that my concern would be that there's, I hate to say the word abuse, but the insistence on taking multiple days off at one time. For example, let's say we had the Fridays off, and people start calling Thursday off, and then it's Friday, and then it's a 4-day weekend all of a sudden. So those sorts of things would be of concern to me as well, and of course overtime. But I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, you were about to make a comment.
All good discussion. Obviously, looking at this topic under the city manager's report out. The thoughts that I come to mind, we just have to be cautious as a council. There's a lot of interconnected parts and pieces here, kind of cause and effect. If we change one thing, it really affects others. And one of the initiatives that we've pushed very hard for is improve customer service. So that'd be one of my concerns. It's not necessarily on there, it's directly on there in terms of our ability to continue to serve the public at their convenience. But Customer service, but the other thing is employee morale and satisfaction is obviously huge on our list as well. Tagging along with what Councilmember Noriega mentioned, I don't know if we can do more in-depth, detailed look at some 980 staffing models, and some of this might include increased costs on our part, whether it be overtime, whether it be rotational model, depending on the department. It may even include hiring additional employees, full-time employees. All these things come at a cost, but if we can kind of gather all those facts and weigh that out, I think that would give me a little bit more to go on in terms of what the 980 alternatives could look like. So I think the appetite here is to want to potentially do something, but simply we did it close to 5 years, and I think we have something to look at. How did it work then? Doing the look back outside of the satisfaction is just what can we do to close those gaps on the service end? If we can't, that would be very tough for me. But if we can, through some alternative thinking, then maybe that's something we can consider.
And it could also result in maybe, the fees that we're paying currently with our vendor for credit card acceptance. It could be something as simple as we absorb that cost, but it increases the level of people using that service, so which eliminates people in the office itself. So there could be other things I know that we need to consider, but I think right now what I wanted to make sure that the employees understood that we're here to consider that. I know that was their concern. Was there another comment? I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, that's why I emphasize that we do survey and we do others that have done this, because there is lots of them out there that have done it, and they're succeeded, and they can tell you how much overtime and how much traffic they're losing or not losing, or so just something to think about.
Any comments?
Back when this was kind of implemented, I think part of the reason it was implemented was it wasn't a negotiation with the employees, because the fact that back then we wasn't giving increases to the employees, I think that was part of the conversation when the 980 was implemented. That was to offset some of the raises that wasn't given. And I'm going to be honest, when the 980 went away, I kind of disagreed with that. I thought then we should have looked at the numbers and made sure that we were providing the service, and then look at the call-outs. How many of those call-outs were after 5 o'clock? That would have been on overtime anyway. How many of those call-outs would have been actual just straight overtime? And I think if we evaluate that and crunch the numbers and say, hey, guys, it's not providing the service and it's costing the citizens and the city more money, we can't afford the 980s, it's got to go away. But I think we really need to look at the numbers and take a look at it, because it's not just a benefit to the employees. It's if it's implemented correctly, where the thermostats are turned down, the vehicles are parked, and you shut down the facilities like that, it is savings. And quite naturally, if it's managed right to where employees aren't abusing overtime, you don't want a call come in. You don't want to call, if a call comes in at 3 o'clock and you don't go out to 5:30, that's not right. I mean, I think supervisor and management should see that. So I think we really owe it to the employees to take a look at it, and we owe it to the citizens too, to make sure that we've done our due diligence to make sure that we are providing the service. But I think it was just taken away without any information given to them why and what the reasons were.
Well, thank you. I know there's members of the public here, and there's certainly staff that are present. Of course, we're open and transparent here, and we want to make sure if you have any comments that you'd like to share without any pressure, you can come up and express that now. Not everybody jump up at once, but it's all right. No pressure. It's just, I invite you to speak. We're all here listening.
I would say a different name, but it's on my shirt. Right.
Yeah. And we know you.
JJ Galvano.
Jake and Cena.
Employee from the Public Works Department. I want to just thank you guys for considering the 980 schedule. I know we go back to customer service, and that's important to all of us. I mean, including ourselves, because we're the ones out there on the front line, so it's very important to us. But going back to citizens not being used to it, if you guys remember, we had Street sweeping twice a week, went down to once a week. Trash pickup twice a week, went down to once a week. Guess what? Everybody's used to it.
That's
So,
right.
Anyway, that's just my comparison, kind of. So I just hope, you guys look at the numbers and hopefully it works out. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And it's not just the numbers, it's considering a lot of aspects. I mean, but we appreciate the comments, and certainly we'll give it our full view, and we'll decide something.
Good
Thank you.
example.
Thank you, Jay.
Quick comment. As a member of the city of Brawley, let's get it done. Just do it for the people. They deserve it.
Thank you. And
Mr. Mayor, just for direction, could we, I'm just putting this out there based on everything we said. I think, so to move forward, let's explore how we can mitigate some of the cons that we looked at. I think if we can shorten that list and realistically feel comfortable that we can deliver the service that we expect, that the citizens expect, and do that, there may be a cost to it. That's the only thing I caution, that if that alternative is going to cost us, I think we're still willing to look at that. But let's get our hands around what that is. And then I think we can make a better informed decision moving forward. And I think yeah.
Go ahead.
I appreciate that, and I think we do need to look at that. I would also be willing to look at some other alternatives, possibly a personal leave day or two that we might provide to employees. Some of the other cities are doing that now. It's a personal leave day. They can choose what day they want to utilize that day, and we might want to do something like that. If we cannot do the 980, if research tells us that it's too expensive or something, we might look at a couple of other options for employee benefit that would be maybe be utilized, and maybe we could gradually build that into the system somehow. But I'm willing to look at it.
Could we look at Siemens Corporation that's looking in evaluating our energy and consumption use too? And I don't even know if that would work into potentially that discussion, and see where we actually can quantify what the benefits and the savings would be.
And I don't just want to focus, I know that the conversation sort of turned, it's an employee benefit. There's got to be other benefits. It may not just be an employee benefit. So we got to make sure that we got to consider that.
Exactly. That's true.
I don't want to get in the conversation saying, well, we're just looking at it for the employee's sake. It's for the public's sake. So there may be pros in here that we haven't considered. I know we have experience in doing this, so we can look at our own experience and look at department heads and talk to them and say where we had some weaknesses, and maybe it's something we can overcome and work out. It would benefit the employees and the city as a whole, and allow us to provide our services in a timely manner. So.
And I think somebody did bring up the fact that, turning off all the lights, electricity, I mean, just that alone is costly. It has been very costly. If you look at how much we're paying out for electricity, somebody else brought up other things that we can be saving on. So I think it'll be good. Yeah, sure. Water, gas.
All right. Are there? So the direction would be just to further explore the issues, and I know that there's a list of pros and cons. But if we can get a better understanding from departments that participated in that 980 process from the City of Brawley, I think that would be useful. And any other information that you could provide us at a future date.
Yes.
Okay. And I know that was under your report, so is there anything else you'd like to report?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, city staff, for being here as well. Our treasurer's report. Nothing to report. Thank you. City attorney's report?
I gave you most of my report already, but we're in negotiations on one of our closed session items, and the gentleman has hired a really good attorney who's really honest and smart, so things are looking up.
Good, thank you. City clerk's report?
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and that's our meeting. We'll adjourn to Tuesday, November 3rd at 5 p.m. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.